What is the history of the Great Wave? What does the wave symbolize in Japan? The answers to these questions will be provided by our channel, Art and Beyond. It was made by Hokusai Katsushika, a famous Japanese painter and printmaker of the 19th century, using a woodblock print, utilizing the age-old ukiyo-e method of Japan, most likely around the latter half of the year 1831 during the Edo period of Japanese history. The print shows three boats navigating a storm-tossed sea whilst Mount Fuji can be spotted out in the background. A huge wave forms a spiral in the center of the print. The Great Wave, also known as Under the Wave of Kanagawa, is an artwork from the 36 Views of Mount Fuji series, where Japanese print underwent a revolution thanks to the usage of Prussian blue. He achieved rapid success in Japan and then in Europe, which influenced the Impressionists. The Great Wave is a blend of traditional Japanese prints with a Western perspective. The Great Wave is represented in a number of museums all around the world, many of which acquired them from personal collections of Japanese prints from the 19th century. A contender for the title of Most Famous Artwork in Japanese History, The Great Wave of Kanagawa has been called perhaps the most reprinted image in the history of all art. Vincent van Gogh, Claude Debussy, Claude Monet, and HIROSHIGE are just a few well-known printers and musicians who were influenced by it. The text itself extensively discusses Japan's position during these periods of isolation, as well as the impact of Western ideas on the growth of traditional Japanese society and its philosophy. Even though Japan didn't allow foreigners to enter its ports until 1859, this piece made use of the rare and unique European colour Prussian blue, indicating that there was still some sort of cultural interchange occurring in the 1830s. In addition to being well liked during modernism, this art piece continues to influence many current artists and designers. It has also become a brand, a piece of art praised only for its fame, which is often done without even considering the context. Furthermore, it had an impact on a large number of street artists who used this well-known image to paint walls all over the world. The woodblock demonstrates the artist's amazing expertise in using the ancient Japanese ukiyo-e woodblock print method, which calls for carving wooden blocks one at a time for each color used. Sharp tools are used to carve an image into a woodblock, which is then covered in ink while pressed on a piece of paper. The fact that the Great Wave was printed in a brand new, exotic color unknown to Japan before this work was one of the factors contributing to its success in that country. Given that we now recognize it as Prussian blue or Berlin blue, it was synthetic, had a distinctly saturated tint, and was undoubtedly imported from Europe. This opens new debates about how Japan interacted with the rest of the world at this point in history. Before you get hit by the big wave, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications about our upcoming videos. Despite the largest waves that take up the majority of the image, the focal point of this image is the sacred Mount Fuji, which was the artist's personal spiritual obsession and also served as significant symbolic representation of the firmness and power in a steady and isolated Japan. Japan at this time was enveloped in its tradition and culture. The Great Wave of Kanagawa's context can be examined on three separate levels: the artist's own, the socio-historical, or the implications for Japan's connections with the West, and finally, the philosophical or spiritual, or the implications for the purity and symbolism of Mount Fuji. The existence of all three of these significant layers, which provide multiple readings along with the flawless composition and use of colour, may be what distinguishes this piece from other works on the art scene even today. According to the renowned BBC documentary on the painting The Great Wave, Hokusai's grandson lost all of his money gambling, and the artist felt a great deal of uncertainty about this material aspect of life, which threatened even his spiritual stability, which may have had an impact on the composition of this work. The Great Wave can be interpreted as a symbol of a significant shift in Japanese society, a shift that brings presence of foreign influences originating from the unpredictability of the sea in contrast to the firmness and stillness of Mount Fuji, the long-established image of Japan's soul. Before the period of isolation, the sea was associated with protection since it served as a wall separating Japan from the external world. The appearance of fishing boats heading towards the massive wave in the Great Wave painting, on the other hand, represents the regions of Japan that were connected to the outside world, but with this awareness of uncertainty and potential dangers and difficulties that this world would bring to traditional Japan. The socio-historical and psychological analysis done thus far were deeply ingrained in the myths and stories about Mount Fuji's sanctity, which were well established as a cult in Japan at the time that the great Hokusai wasn't a creator. Rather, he was a true translator who served as a link between the most distinctive styles of the East and the West. Using Western-style elements whilst retaining key aspects of Japanese traditional techniques and motifs, he made the unknown culture of Japan understandable to Westerners. In the middle of the 19th century, prints of Hokusai's wave paintings were released in the European market. The previous record for Hokusai was a book of woodblock prints which was sold at Sotheby's in Paris in 2002. And with that all said, that is all for today. What do you guys find most interesting about this artwork? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. We'll see you in the next one.